Before, thank you for doing this.
That's
Okay.
all good.
Right. So, on behalf of the Mentalist Entrepreneur Circle, we are creating content for some of the things that I think are making a massive difference across any sector right now. It was quite funny, just off screen, Rich and I were just talking about what is and isn't working, and I suddenly realised actually that's what we should be sharing with everybody else. But it's good to vent. Um, we've been working with Richard for 4 years ish
Yeah.
more. Um,
Feels like 5 minutes.
yeah, well, actually, I'm glad you said it that way round. Yes, since pandemics and all sorts have been happening, and as we just said, yeah, who was expecting a war? But who knows with that fella? Apparently, the war finished yesterday, then started again. It depends what newspaper you read. Um, so can we talk about all things marketing with a true subject matter experts here and a view for us asking some questions? But love to hear what
Yeah.
you've got to say about this, and thank you very much for doing it on behalf of the group.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I think marketing has changed so much from 1 year ago to 3 years ago to 5 years ago and beyond. Um, and it will constantly change and it's constantly changing. I will cover off messages, why they're not landing, what good messages look like, and how marketing should look in the next year or two. Um, I always use an analogy that sales and marketing is like a pendulum. Is like what is fashionable, swinging one way. What's fashionable now will not be fashionable in a year's time, because the whole market gravitates towards it, and vice versa. So if you think post COVID, no, like we couldn't get through to anybody. This is on, I suppose, from a service point of view. We couldn't really get through to anybody unless we called their email up. Email, and so therefore, the only way we could really get hold of somebody was through messaging of one form or another, through emails or LinkedIn messaging or WhatsApp, or to basically getting them. And so we had a big push. The whole world had a big push on, fuck, let's get into Zoom info. Let's download the entire database of Crunchbase or PitchBook. Let's just download everything. And that's all of our target market. The downside of that, though, is that we were all became very drunk with data. We had too much data. And became very hard to segment and define these lists of who we were going at. And because everybody did it, the value of an email just plummeted, or the value of a message just plummeted. It's too easy to send a message now. So the pendulum has swung away from emails in many respects and gone more so to in person, to events, to influence type sales, to referrals, and so on, really. So the pendulum, it will swing back one day. So
Well said.
um, I think from now AI is everywhere. You cannot avoid it. But we can also, oh, well, I suppose, Gary, how many messages have you had today from,
50 odds, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Giles? I'm
Each
guessing
with
you're the
something
same.
very random about my background as well, which is very inappropriate.
Yeah, they still want your money. So it's weird
Yeah.
how these things work. But I think we can spot AI sequences a mile away. And I think when we receive a message, but not only can we spot it, but the perception of it is, for me anyways, that you're a corner cutter. If you can't be asked to write your own message or do any research into me giving you any money whatsoever, um, then it just looks like a corner cutting thing. So I still believe now is that sales is incredibly human, and even more so now, because we have to have the ability to influence. But what we can't do is just solely rely on bots, because the old school humans, we just want to deal with other people. People want to deal with people, really. And so the I suppose the challenge is to everybody is, what value can you bring to your target market that AI cannot provide? So if you're in staffing and recruitment, what can you get that you can't find off Glassdoor? What can you get that you can't find off ChatGPT? What do you have? And whether that is utilizing talent insights, whether that's your own database of salaries, rates, salary guides still work. I know it's old school. It really is a good foot in the door. But what about influence? So partnering with high-level interims and CEOs in your marketplace is a really, really good tactic. Still really, really works. So, but what can you do that AI can't do, basically? And that's what people want nowadays. I have got some stats in here, well, just in case, but email replies are plummeted. Giles, just off your outbound efforts, do you know really what you're getting back from, I suppose, email and outbound messaging at all off the top of your head?
I mean, I guess if we're looking at sort of the 80-20 rule in terms of sort of engaged clients, our responses are all right. We're probably, well, I say all right from my perspective, they're probably about 18-19%. But if we're looking at 80% out of database clients that we're not actively engaged with, it's 1.5% at best at times.
Yeah. Is that reply rates?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's I suppose that's what you'd expect across any industry, really, in terms of roughly the 20% if they're known. But realistically, if the reason why a lot of outbound at the minute doesn't work is because they're just too generic messages and there's nothing personal. I was saying to Gary before you jumped on, really, is it? If I was to try and get Gary's attention in any way, shape, or form, I would probably go down the road of talking about personal interests like Chelsea, or I'd probably talk about whichever sports team. Who do you support yourself? Are you into football, or who do you support yourself, Charles?
Brighton.
You're a Brighton fan, right? Okay, so you beat Liverpool at the weekend, didn't you?
We did.
So it's the Chelsea Donor Club. I quite like them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just without the fines and like transfer bans.
Oh, mate, all right.
But that and so immediately you've got to with any kind of messaging, it's hard to do it en masse to go, oh, hi Giles, I hear that you support insert football team here. There's the more broader it gets, the less replies that you'll get. So it's important to use AI to find out your personal interests, or just actually do the research like an old school salesperson probably would be, really. And then why it matters is because then your reply rates go up when you actually talk about something that you're interested in or that you have like some sort of connection with, really. So all of that matters. Markets. Hi Ben, how are you? Oh yeah, markets are correct. A lot of businesses sound the same, and attention is so difficult to get nowadays. I don't know about you, but I'm just incredibly skeptical. Whenever a message comes through to me, I'm just so skeptical about it. You know, you kind of sometimes you look for issues, really, because you just spot that it's going to be an AI thing. So for me, it all starts with actually defining your ICP, as in who is it that you want to work with in the first place. So this is where we got drunk with data from PitchBook, from Zoom Info, from all these ones, is we would get 10,000 contacts. We get thousands upon thousands of contacts. Nowadays, I think if it's any more than a couple of hundred, it's too broad. It really needs to be in the hundreds in terms of target lists, but they are super, super niche, super, super narrow, and the ones that can give you the money essentially that you can deliver for. I did make this non-recruitment agnostic, but like for you guys, it would be exactly the same as how you niche down and how your desks niche down as well. In terms of, are you targeting by patch, by tech, by industry, by growth, whatever it may be, what roles that they actually hire for. So narrowing down beyond belief so that you're only left with a few hundred points of contact that will do business with you. And then outside of that is what is their problem. And I won't labor on this too much, but the reason why messaging doesn't work is because we're too broad. Whereas if our target market of 200 people all have the same problem and it's always the same issue, and the reason why is they're acting to buy your service is always the same, whether they got funding or Donald Trump's just popped a bomb over and into a different country, or they won a project, or whatever it may be. It's it all stems from that first bit of defining what you're of the market and the 100 or so people that you want to get in contact with in the first place. And then
Can
Doing
I
well.
can I
Yeah.
just chip in and just tell you how you feel about this? Because there's some big interested to see if you've got any data on it. I was speaking to one of us Lawrence Doe the other day. He was still targeting people at S3 to do 300 hiring managers as an absolute max. And he would try desperately to talk to them, if not every week, at least every month, and to get in front of them as much as possible. And those 300, the individual Sparta, that was important. And then they were still doing big outbound campaigns. Whereas some of the smaller businesses are still doing like the 150, 300, but they're changing and creating a second vehicle to do their mass marketing outreach so they don't spoil brand A. They might have something which is just throwing out data all the time,
Mm.
with a view that maybe that becomes an AI machine at a certain point. But more importantly, now any leads then get thrown over into their premium brands, and they try and convert those, but they just have a networking marketing machine on the other side. Have you got many examples of people doing anything like that yet?
So essentially, they've got, if I read this right, they've got about, let's say, 150 target accounts versus the
Per
rest, which
person.
is, yeah, and then the rest is not necessarily a target, but they could do business with them.
Yeah, and then they're
I,
just letting the machinery, so an automation, AI, whatever it is, outreach
yeah,
to them because you got Matt Springfield is doing over 100,000 outbound emails, and his rate of response is 1.8%. So interestingly, exactly the same ballpark. And he says across nine people, that's a lot. That's a lot
that
of
is.
leads across nine. But he's separating the brands out now, so he's not actually diluting the value of brand A by peppering it with brand B.
I think it just what did you set the business up for in the first place? As in you, if you want to be perceived as a business that gets shit done, then yeah, get 100,000 contacts and messaging out is cool because you'll pick up. Though if you've got that volume of contacts to go at, then cool. But the more niche you are, you don't have that volume of contacts really. So you can burn through your entire database very, very quickly if the wrong message goes out. So I think generally, I don't have data to hand, but I think that one thing that we use is lifetime value or LTV of a client. So the lifetime value of a client where they come through target accounts, referrals, events, speaking, things like this is much, much higher than the value of an account that comes off the back of a cold email. Um, you're more likely to do business with somebody for 5, 10 years than you probably would off the back of a cold email nowadays. But if their business is set up so that they're happy just to take those pieces of spot business and sell hard to drag them up for a long time, then that works for them. Not every business has got those resources, though, I don't think.
Yeah,
But I would look into the lifetime value of what's the client that came through from hyper targeted messaging versus the client that came through from one of 100,000. Which one's worth more? And the cost of getting each one is
yeah,
probably
no,
what I'd look
there's no
into.
comparison. You're right. It's the high value. The well, one you can have to put quite a lot of effort in to work out who your 150 or 300 is in the first place.
Yeah,
You're not going to just guess. So they should be doing some sort of filtering at that point.
yeah.
It's just
Uh,
interested to see if you've seen it anywhere else because I can see a lot of it happening at the moment. So everyone's now got two brands.
That's exactly what we're doing when I'm speaking about the 80/20. It's probably not realistically 80/20, right? But we've got two marketing streams. One very much the automation outreach to people that haven't had any contact from our consultants within the last 6 to 9 months, and then
mm,
people that we've had engagement with. We are speaking to that is that refined pool of clients that we've tailored down that are getting
Yeah,
very very different messages from us.
yeah. So I suppose you've got in many respects, you've kind of labeled your database really of like target or A clients or one or A prospects versus B and C level prospects, really. So, yeah, that makes sense. Where I think protecting your brand is probably the most important thing here, because certainly in staffing and recruitment, is if one associates the business or the brand with any negativity whatsoever, it spreads like wildfire. So, um, yeah, I wouldn't bring it all into one database. I would try and separate the brands as a positive thing, really. Yeah, that's what I'd do with that one.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but yeah, so ultimately the messaging, like, I think we've covered off: clear, relevant, specific. This here is very, very key for me, is you got to make it memorable. The amount of messages that you get, and you said that you got 50 messages today. Um, that's an unbelievable amount of messages to get in one morning already. And do you remember any of them at all?
I try and speak to as many
Positively
people.
remember them.
Yeah, I do try and speak to as many people as I possibly can, because I like hearing some of the pitches, because it actually inspires me. But most of them are so poor. And
Yeah,
it's or you've got somebody who's just trying to get an appointment, and I won't let them even talk to me. So out of those 50 today, I've probably responded to about 30, and most of them were, I have no idea what you're selling, or I won't pay for a lead, I will pay for a sign up. Right, and that just generally gets people running away. So things, I've got a general
yeah,
standard answer, but I think where you're going with this, no, they're all absolute dog shit. And funny
yeah.
enough, the word I mentioned there was memorable, right? It's
Oh,
how,
okay.
because I think is it Harvard say you miss one piece of business for every piece of business you close, but I think it's closer to 10 to 1. You know, who was that? Who was that really cool bloke? Who was his name is Richard something or other. Where I can't find his details, and it's just like because they don't know how to find us again, and that really bothers
Mm.
me. Or it's that brand. How do we get recognition and repetition? I just don't know how to do it properly yet. I'm all over the shop with it.
Well, there you go. It's just how can you stay in the mind? And people, there are different ways of being memorable, and so and this comes from when you really define who it is that you want to do business with. Is that sometimes you can be memorable because you're like a very good at taking them out, getting them drunk, taking them and having a good night out with them. So you can be socially memorable. You can also be memorable because you've got very good, valuable, useful data and information, and you provide them with support that no other company will get. You can also be memorable because you've you are the market leaders and nobody else works with anybody else other than you guys. And so, or you can be memorable because of your network and who you connect with. So there's loads of different ways of being memorable. It doesn't always have to be get somebody drunk. It can be we're memorable because the stuff that we produce or the service that we provide is outstanding. And service does go a long way really as well. So, yeah, so I'd say that's probably key on that. Do you guys use a tech stack at all for your outbound?
Yeah, all the time.
Giles, Ben, do you have much on the go? Oh, Ben, you're muted, mate. You're still muted. Is he speaking to us?
There we are. Yeah,
Oh, there you
now.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I used Woodpecker for a long time, but then I moved to Instantly.
Yeah.
But I've dialed down my cold outbound to nil because it's more. Yeah, you might get a 1% reply rate, but that means that you've got 99% of people. Did they not read it, or have you pissed them off? It's like what I posted the other day in terms of. Because I've niched right down, I want a quality interaction with every single person. And I look at my inbox every morning and it's just sequence after sequence after sequence. And you just think, well, look, I'd have replied 4 messages ago if I was interested. I get the second feature drop or whatever they might do. But once you get into third and fourth and I've not replied, I'm just like, fuck off. I don't need it anymore. It's become damaging.
Yeah.
And And the ones that are memorable are the ones that have become most damaging, interestingly, not the ones that probably have had the best message, because you just get so fed up with them.
I would say in this, I should have said positively memorable. I would hope that was, positively memorable, not memorable for being crap. But no, so but
I've
how
got
many?
people like I've got people lying to me currently. I'm calling you back because Brenda said to call you on this day. Well, that's a lie. The other one was people getting really angry with me because I haven't responded.
Yeah.
So how many times do you have to message me and me to ignore you to know that I'm not interested?
So I think those kind of follow-ups piss people off, don't they? Really, in terms of this not of interest to you, a question mark, or just forwarding it on with a question mark but no reply. I think so. Ben, how many prospects or targets are you going at then, or how many people would you want or could buy your service?
My sort of total addressable market now is about 350 companies.
Okay. So that goes to what we were saying before. I'm not too sure if you joined, is that you cannot do mass mailing or mass targeting when you've got such a small niche target, because you will just burn through all of your prospects if you're not careful. So yours was more likely to be slowly catch a monkey, high value, very, very high value, credible data and information, really, of how you'll get a foot in. Whereas Giles, it seems like your target market or potential target market is significantly higher than that. So you've got the ability to do the more mass side of things, really.
Yeah, I'd say so. The other thing with ours is we do a lot of work with startups, so there's always new companies popping up as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the beauty of tech, I suppose, as well. So I think a tech stack at the minute, if you are going to do outbound, it can get very pricey because you need to track signals of anybody that could potentially, or anybody within that 350 prospects, or anybody that could move. You need a signal tracker, really. You also need something to gather the data. Some of these tools can be sort of intertwined, but you need to get the data in the first place. Then for me, I'll cover it off shortly, but you do need a multi-channel tool. It doesn't have to be like 7 or 8 different steps, but it should be that if I pinged you an email and you didn't come back, I then should contact you on LinkedIn by saying, "Oh, I'll show you the message now, actually." So this here is the sequence, and it flicks between LinkedIn and email. But the one that got 25% reply rate, is it 25%? Oh, sorry, that's just flicked up. Yeah, or 25 replies, sorry, out of this is because the LinkedIn message said, "Oh, I sent an email out across the other day." And so what you've got is multi-channel. I would also probably put WhatsApp in here, or just if you've got the mobile number, just ping a WhatsApp. And so you only really need probably 3 or 4 messages, but you could do with it covering both email, because I do see my emails, but because I get so many, I've got not that much interest in replying. However, if somebody was to WhatsApp me, not that many people will use that number. I'm much more likely to reply through WhatsApp than I am through email. And it'll be the same. Some in your target market are much more likely to reply on LinkedIn. Some are much more likely to reply through email. But the important thing is when you have got a sequence that you're putting together, whether it's manual or whether it's automated, is that it does cover many channels, not just email. It has to cover off multiple different things, really. And then which do you use CRMs at all, or which CRMs are you on?
Bullhorn.
You're a Bullhorn.
I'm desperately trying to get out of InCherry and onto Spot.
Right. Okay. So Spot. Have a look at Atlas as well. I don't know if you've done a demo with either of them, but at the minute they all seem to be either going to Spot, Atlas, or Loxo, to be fair. But I don't get paid by any of them, by the way. But yeah, so it's ultimately is not only can we find who we want to do business with, get the information, research something about them that's personal and of interest, give them some value, and then it's all patching it all together. And this is why at the minute people think that there's a silver bullet to all of this stuff, and there is not a silver bullet at all. It's just one massive process. A lot of the tech companies are hiring what's called GTM engineers, as in what I think when we all first started our jobs, we were either account executive, just smash the phone, or new business hunter, smash the phone, and that's all you could really do. Whereas a lot of the tech startups now, they're hiring nerds that can patch and sort of put all of these APIs and tools together to create one giant workflow. And it won't be long before all of this is all integrated in one platform anyway. The reason why I asked about...
Can I mention a couple of tools as well?
Yeah.
Alex Bennison's latest, greatest tool is unbelievably good for getting data. So he managed to strip out what was 100,000 members of the IOD. He went through everybody who was over, and we're looking for businesses around £1 million, 10 staff. He got all the names of the C-suite for me. And then he only gave me the ones where he had open LinkedIn profiles and mobiles. And we got that to 5,000, which is a really tidy number, but really easy to work. And that cost me less than 400 quid.
Okay.
Unbelievably strong data. And I've also got a guy now. So you're right about WhatsApp. I'm a massive advocate. If you can get something which is on their phone when they're walking around without to press buttons that everyone's really familiar with. But there's a tool now which hits on the front end. So you go through every phone number that you'd have in your business and it qualifies it so you won't come up as spam. It actually comes up as, you can have it as the name of if you use Android, it'd be the name of your company plus your logo, pops up on their screen. If not, it's your name. It looks like you're already in their contacts.
Nice.
And that's pennies again. So they're two absolutely little game changers that I think would be good. But I think you're right as well. I'm not sure I'd invest any money building an agent because they're all going to be, well, they get dated incredibly quickly. You spend a fortune, keep them up to date, and then within 10 minutes they'll be available through one of the big tech companies. So
yeah, absolutely. You look at like Claude, Anthropic and Claude, what they're putting together now, just in terms of just, you can see it sometimes sitting on your computer finishing tasks for you. Whether I've been hooked in with videos, but even Copilot, there's so much that Copilot for Microsoft can do that we've not explored yet, and it could be a real useful tool, but you've got to dedicate yourself to Microsoft entirely then at that point. So, but yeah, absolutely, there's so much. I suppose the important thing for me is, well, I'll show you this now, is that I feel like the sales and marketing of tomorrow isn't just email, and if they don't email, send them a text message, and if they don't text message, give them a call. You've got so many different things that people can get involved with. Social selling is huge because it's a human thing. People want to engage on creating content. It is a huge thing. I see it every single week, is that if you put something out there that resonates, you'll get a lot. So social selling is huge. And then, which in then turn leads to partnering with influencers. There's influencers in every market. It doesn't have to be some 24-year-old girl getting her jubblies out. It can be, Gary's an influencer of the recruitment market. If you want to get your jubblies out, fine, happy days. But it's more, there are like key people in every niche, in every tech or every sort of thing, really. And then going back to that is making sure that you're on top of your. I thought websites were dead. I thought websites were a pointless exercise apart from sticking your jobs on them. Whereas I've gone full circle with that now, in that a lot of people are making their buying decisions by asking ChatGPT, tell me what you know about this recruitment company, or which recruitment company should I use that does this, that, and the other. And ChatGPT will give an answer but the only answer that they'll give is based off what's on the internet and on your website. So it's important to be putting everything that you can online and back that up with being good on calls, good in person, and plenty of events and relevant events for your market.
Did you see the message that Dickie Fisher put on the group yesterday about AEI? AEI? No,
AEO.
AEO. SEO,
Yeah.
but the
Answer engine optimization. No, I've
there we
not. I
go.
was traveling yesterday. What did it say?
Okay, it was brilliant. He just said if you want to get your score up, and do it now before everyone spots the trick, get yourself a Wikipedia page for your business, and it's making a humongous difference apparently. So he put it on the group, and I picked up the phone, and he said his traffic's gone through the roof.
Very good. Oh,
Interesting.
very good. Very good. Very good. So, but then I suppose, if you're a one-man band, it's very hard to kind of do all of this whilst also, getting everything out there. But I think the future teams of tomorrow, you will have companies or agents or bots that can do kind of this for you, really, or getting involved with everything. But yeah, going back to the messaging, this one here, I'll zoom in just because it's really like it's very wordy. This for me, if somebody sent me this, I personally would look at this and go, "What the? It's just too much. It's too much waffle." However, because what they've done is like they're really honed down on who they want to deal with. In this instance, is working for VCs and partners of investment firms. Because they use very high level language throughout, it's resonated really, really well with high level VCs. It comes across with a lot of credibility. And so for me, I'm not their target market. So I wouldn't look at that and think, oh, yeah, I really need to reply to that. But he doesn't want to do business with me. That's cool. He wants to do business with VCs and private equity people. So tailoring your message to your market is pretty key. And like I've shown,
I think that you're right. That's bonkers because I wouldn't read that.
it's mad but your persona, I think you are quite a short, sharp, to the point. Just give me the value. Just get to the point very, very quickly, and you've got the headspace to be able to know it. Whereas, not
Other
everybody
people want
operates
to be
like you.
tickled.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose my point is that not every message, there's no silver bullet with the messaging. It is just keep on when you refine who that 350 people that you're going at, or the hundreds of thousands is. It doesn't have to be short and sharp. It can be long, providing it's what they expect to see and what they engage with, really. And the only way you know that is by asking them, tell me which messages have you replied to today? Which messages have caught your attention? Can you forward them on and see and see if you can bastardize it for your own value? Oh yeah, and this one here is just what I'd mentioned is, if you do send messages out with just like forward question mark, that doesn't do very well. But referring to a message that you sent via a different channel does work really well. I pinged you a LinkedIn connection. This is over email. I pinged you a LinkedIn connection. I just wanted to cover off this, that, and the other. Or I'd sent you an email. This is via LinkedIn. So cross-referencing and cross-messaging does go down very, very well when you are building your sequences out. And again, it doesn't have to be an automated sequence. It can be a manual sequence. I did a load of work for BSI. Joe, the company that on Windows, they've got that the quality thing. They had like a folder this thick of their business development workflow. It was all manual. The massive organization, it was all manual, but they knew exactly what to say at every moment, really. Anyway, and then just from if you are going to do it, I think you guys are on top of this already, but just make sure that all your mailboxes are warmed up and they're all technically set up. So your DMARC records are all sorted. I know, Gary, you said that you've got about 5,000 or so, but 5,000 contacts from 100,000 prospects is 5%. So you've narrowed that right down. I do think that you're more people generally will get more success being niche rather than going at the whole 100,000 because you're tight in what it is that you're aiming for. Yeah, and do you go well? Do you play around with the subjects or the email subjects at all? Do you have much success? Because it used to be that if you put RE at the beginning of it, you're more likely to get it open, whereas end users have cottoned onto that nowadays. So it's different ways of just trying to stand out really on subjects.
I put an email out to the group recently about free money. Now I don't know about you, but I would generally answer that. And it was about, if you do this, you get free money, and it's a lot of money. And the open rate was absolutely shocking. And I think it's all right. It's not come from India. It's come from me. It should be all right. It's worth having a look at. So if you can't win with free money, I give up.
On that, Gary, though, that's exactly the sort of thing that most spam filters will filter out: free money, because it's got the word free and it's got the word money in it, which are two words that will automatically get filtered out by Google or Apple.
Oh, you bastard for being smart. I hate you, Ben, still.
Just trying to help. Share the love.
Yeah.
My God. I'm all right, Rich. Me and Ben go way back.
It's just things like that. Too many numbers, percentages, and things in emails. The word sale, the word, all sorts of things that all the spam filters pick up on these words. So you just have to think with everything you send now, is it going to bounce off a spam filter?
I can't believe I've been so stupid. You're absolutely right. Well done. Well, that's ruined the rest of my day.
A test. You were just testing. You've ran it. You tested it.
I wasn't. I was really keen on it as well. I didn't realise what an idiot I was being. I own it when you share. That was me being rubbish. Okay. Terrible.
Don't send whatever you do as well, because essentially you're sending out, whenever you're sending an email out, you're only sending it to two people. You're either sending it to Microsoft or you're sending it to Google. It's all you're ever going to be sending it to for the next year or two anyway. So per mailbox, if you're doing like a drip outbound, never ever ever send more than 100 per mailbox. Anything more than that and you're dead. It's just not worth the hassle of trying to get it unblacklisted. Less is more quite often when it comes to quality messages going out there. And I cannot back up what you guys do on a day-to-day basis, is that back it up with calls. And nowadays you and your team have to be online. You have to be social selling. You have to be interacting, not only just with calls, but you also have to be very visible. I would guess on LinkedIn, but there are other social media platforms out there, but you have to be on there because the old school way of thinking is, what happens if they see my prospects, or what happens if they see my clients? Well, sure as shit, every recruiter is trying to get after your clients anyway. They're trying anyway, so you may as well just try and cement the relationship by being visible online. So
let me blow smoke, because the work you've done with Danny Wigglesworth is exceptional. And I love the fact that he's basically just said contract. And as a result, they've done more perm business than last year than they've done for the 3 years before it, right? Which is random, but they've also then had their best ever years. And they're starting to get known for they're the contract shop. And every time they're getting the deal now, it's not a bum on seat, it's minimum 4s and 5s. So it's exceptional. But again, that's 6 months before it got any traction, and then a year before it's got to the point where it is now, and it's golden.
The weird thing, Joe, I don't know if you mentioned, but we did an email campaign, and it was Christmas 2024, so it would be 15 months or so ago ish, and somebody replied back to that a month or so ago, and they got a few contractors out there. But it's weird how it was just sat in their inbox for over a year, and then they replied a year on. That's very rare. That's I've never really seen that happen before. But it's just consistency. Consistency across all channels gets you a long way, I think. Yeah. So, is there anything else I can
Well,
share or show or whatever it may be.
I've got a couple of messages to share that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
working. So just right in for the mix. Asking for help has never been better. So physically saying, I'm trying to break in with companies just like you, or even with rookies saying, I'm brand new to this. Can you help me? It has never been better, and people will guarantee and give you time. It's probably, I think it's the number one way to win business at the moment, and you can get in front of people all in one go. So it takes away all of the, rather than actually sit there and saying we've been doing this for 20 years and we've got a combined revenue knowledge base of 30 years. Just say I'm absolutely box fresh to this. I haven't got a Scooby, but I've seen your name. Your name's been mentioned. I would like to work with you, and that works brilliantly. The other thing that's working really well is people throwing some time and effort to look at very few prospects that they think are worth money and doing a data capture and all of it. So understanding why people are going there, where they're leaving, where contractors coming from, that's really cool. And you can take it to the next degree and look at all of their competitors and find out where they are, what's going on with their projects. And if you can reference the project name, you're halfway there. And then there's just the other three, which we had a chat about this the other day on the contract group on the IDLC. And randomly, references for number one, which I hate, but if it works, it works. The other one was invites to something, be it a round table, be it a big event, be it they were going to host a bar time at a conference. And any gossip, if you just say, I need to tell you what's happening with Richard at the moment, please give us a call. You're going to love this. Everyone calls you back. Everyone calls you back. So they're the big ones that people are working with at the moment. Interested to know if anybody else has got anything else.
Something that really surprised me at the start of the year, we had a sequence go out, and the fourth email of the sequence was literally all I said. So this was people who'd already received messages, was just, "Are you free for a call?" And that got the biggest response rate. Nothing else, just simply, "Are you free for a call?" And that got the biggest response rate coming back of people going, "Yep." I mean, a lot of those were, they didn't have anything for me, or there was nothing relevant, but it was still just that introduction to people that we weren't engaged with, or certainly weren't speaking to. We were obviously engaged with in some form.
Love that.
One-liners go down very well. They're just because you can read it on a screen. It's one-liners, so that's really good.
I think my biggest wins are coming from calling in favours. It's a Garyism. It's from you years ago, in terms of being owed something by someone because you've done them a favour, and then just phoning them up, going, "Look, help!" It's that help thing. It's
be owed a favour, not a fiver.
That's it. That's the phrase I was looking for.
There you go. Yeah, it works an absolute treat. You can call in favours, especially if it's towards the end of the month, and say, I only need one more deal. Cheat, lie, steal. Give me a deal. This is all my favours at once. And then people generally, again, it's like trying to help you. People love to help if they possibly can. It's like an ego rub and a little massage in the office that he does something good for people. People are actually genuinely quite nice. Just don't tell Emma that because she hates people. But generally, people are quite nice. That's kind of cool. Is there anything that we haven't asked you, Rich, that we should ask you before we let you go?
I'd say that it just cuts out for me then. What did you say? Sorry, mate.
Is there anything that we haven't asked you, which maybe we should?
It does depend on your market. It's not really. So some of the messages that I've been saying is messages that go into inboxes. However, people should put a lot of value on the message that they are giving out on social media. They should be very aware of the perception and how they want to be perceived by their market as well. So the message, it's loosely linked to email messages and text messages and WhatsApp messages, etc. But I see a lot of revenue coming inbound through decent socials if you're in a market where your end clients hang around online, because everyone's just interested. Everyone wants to see what people are talking around. And so, yeah, spending some time on your own personal brand, as much as it can be cringy for some people, can be very valuable if you get that message right as well.
Yeah, I hate working on personal brand. It's all
So against your thing, isn't it?
I thought I bet on national TV to get a headline. I'll do anything you want.
But on that, Rich,
yeah.
as a recruiter, we've got two target markets. We've got, although I'll have everyone as a customer because I don't define people as a client or a candidate, but ultimately the message to a client and the message to a candidate are two different things. And sometimes I struggle with getting the balance of the LinkedIn message and social presence right on that, because what appeals to one doesn't always appeal to the other.
Yeah. Generally, if you were to only target one market, you target your candidates or target the candidate side of things, because they're more likely to interact. Hiring managers don't really interact, to be honest with you. They just use it for validation. So target the people in your industry that you can place, or that you would place. That would be, if you held a gun to my head and say which audience should I aim towards, that would be that side of things for sure.
Not questioning on that, but I'd be interested to see what Giles and Gary think on that as well. I'm not disagreeing with you, but
I'm a contract guy. It's 100% of your time talk to clients. You can fill any vacancy with it. So I woke up thinking about what I'm going to say the next day, and I just did that until my fingers bled, and then I did it again tomorrow. A candidate expanded it on contract. Josie?
I think we are heavily client focused for sure over the candidates as well.
And my question would be then, do you get much back from online? I'm not like, I get it, it's an open forum, so I don't mean to challenge as such, but if you're getting nothing back by gearing everything towards speaking to clients, try speaking to candidates for a couple of months or so, and then you'll see what the reaction is, because people were always, the hiring managers that you would speak to were a candidate at some point or were in that market. So I know what you mean. It's counterintuitive how it works, but it just seems to work really.
Can I just throw in a line that you might want to try, Ben?
Yeah, go on.
I don't know whether to speak to you as a candidate or a client. I just know I need to speak to you.
Like that. That will get you afternoon.
That will get you in. That'll get you through the door, and then you can work out what you want to say next, based on what they say.
Yeah, no, I like that, because contractors interact on LinkedIn, clients don't. But last time I measured it, about 15% of my clients, only about 50% of my clients are actually active on LinkedIn anyway. They might have a profile, but they never log in, they never post, they never do anything. But where I've had inbound business off LinkedIn, those clients have just been silent. They've just been watching, and then
lurkers.
They never interact, they never anything, and then suddenly it's like, oh, hello, and it's like, I've seen all your posts, and you think, right, okay, that was worth it, but it's difficult. And Gary, you'll know I'm not necessarily the most outgoing person in the world, look at me type person, but it's still draining creating LinkedIn content when you're getting no response. Perhaps I'm still chasing dopamine hits, but it's
yes, I think sometimes you see there's light at the end of the tunnel. You just didn't realise it was a train coming, so and you just got to keep going. Just got to keep going.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's never stopping.
Change your target audience. Like, just try different things. Then, but it depends. Again, it's perception, how you want to be perceived by your market and what they're going to be interested in. But which market are you in again?
Snowflake only contract.
Right. Okay. Cool. So, because you're if you can try this, because your contractors move around so frequently, or relatively frequently, is what you want is your contractors to be bringing you into each client. So the hiring manager, in many respects, is one person, but an influencer is the contractors that you place each time. So if you can pal up with them and use those as referrals and get them talking about how good you are, their audience is good, and they have a lot more clout because they're just the nerds that are doing the thing, really. So I would give that a go if you're willing to give it a go.
There's a really good book you should read called The 59 Steps and 52 Steps. Oh, I should know the name of my own book. But the idea is that every week there's a different idea to try in terms of getting BD. And so I've taken some of the heavy lifting and thinking out of it. So and every part of that links to a story or a message on LinkedIn. So that should help furnish you with ideas, and try it that way. Look, guys, I will say that if you want some help with this stuff, Rich has got a full service, does everything for everyone, including video. And wait, why am I pitching you? Why don't you ever go yourself? What's the brand doing, Gareth? I'll do it rubbish. He does colouring in.
Yeah, I just make things look pretty, essentially. Now, I'm an ex-recruiter, I come from a recruitment background, and I get pissed off with marketing that just generates clicks but no leads. So everything that we do generates leads, and whether that's outbound, so messaging, using your tech stack, getting data, etc., or inbound, creating content, managing socials, we're all over. So there's many different ways where you can sell something to somebody nowadays. And we're across all channels, and we just activate everything for everybody from a marketing and sales point of view.
Any more for any more? Giles, Ben?
No, good, thank you.
Brilliant. Well, thanks ever so much for doing that. Otherwise, we would have been very lonely, but we've got content with some other people in it, so it's even better. So this will be up on the Circle any day. So thank you very much, Rich. Ledge as ever. You. So really appreciating, and again, congratulations to some of the work you're putting out there. It's really top drawer, and I don't give it away lightly. So that's really good. So thank you everyone for your time. Hopefully I'll get to see you soon.
Thanks everyone.
Cheers all. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.